Well, good evening, members of council, members of management. We have three potential candidates to sit around this prestigious table on March the 6th. I'd like to welcome Councillor possibly to be Patrick Mercer, Mr. Paul Grenier, and Tom O'Brien. I just want to say I'm looking at the ends of the spectrum here, and I noticed that we got the youngest candidate on one side, and Tom, I'm just saying, you're the oldest, but if you get at the table, you wouldn't be the oldest at the table, so you're still pretty young. Yeah. We have 28 attendees that are logged on electronically to our public council meeting here, February 22nd, 2024. And I will call the meeting to order. It is 12:02 p.m. Part of our reconciliation, we do a land acknowledgement at all of our public meetings. We respectfully acknowledge the town of Stephenville as the ancestral homeland of different populations of Indigenous people. We also acknowledge with respect the rich histories and cultures of the Beothuk, the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Item number 2, the approval of the agenda. I would ask a member of council to approve the agenda as circulated.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Laura Aylward, seconder.
Second.
Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Carried. I'll make a note here. We got a new little rule of procedure that just came in, that we just say carried rather than who should carry.
Oh.
It's all about adaptation and changes. Approval of the minutes, item number 3, they were circulated by our town clerk, Jennifer Brake. Be it resolved to approve our public meeting of council minutes dated our previous one, February the 8th, 2024, as circulated. I would ask a member of council to move that they be adopted. Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay, that's 3 down. Any matters arising from the minutes from February the 8th?
No.
No matters arising? Okay, we'll move on. We have no proclamations and delegations today. Correct. Yeah. Okay, at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our Chair of Finance, Councilor Myra White, for item 6.1, the Finance Committee.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so proud to have everyone here. Thank you. The Finance Committee met on February the 19th, and the following item was recommended for council approval. Property tax. Be it resolved to write off property tax in the amount of $9,226.39. I so move.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, second by Councilor Laura Aylward. Just want to say this is a standard event that happens at our public meeting for write-offs. And for different reasons, properties could change in ownership. Properties could actually, or businesses could sometimes go out of business, and it could be prorated. So there's various reasons for this. They are done through our tax department, and they are audit checked by our town clerk before they come to our finance meeting. Okay, Councilor White. All in favor?
Aye.
Carry. Thank you.
Item 2, water and sewer. Be it resolved to adjust water and sewer tax in the amount of $984.00. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Item number 3, business tax. Be it resolved to adjust business tax in the amount of $2,048.27. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councilor Laura Aylward. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Item 4, accounts payable, February the 22nd, 2024. Be it resolved to pay accounts payable for February the 22nd, 2024 in the amount of $98,078.66. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. Just want to say it's one of the smallest accounts payable I've seen for the
Yeah.
month of February. Oh, it's gone bi-weekly. Okay, I triggered something there.
Yeah.
I thought it was from all the savings on snow clearing and diesel and overtime and. Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Bi-weekly.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Item 5, a request for sponsorship for the Stephenville Taekwondo. Be it resolved to give a grant in the amount of $5,000 to the Stephenville Taekwondo Club for their 50th anniversary. I so move.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, second by Councilor Lori Elwood. I'd just like to speak to that. When we have organizations in this town that hit milestones that are
Yeah.
50th anniversaries, very worthy to support for such a signature event. I remember working with government provincially when our local Taekwondo club was in the fray, I guess you could say, to hold the nationals in Stephenville, Newfoundland. Now we were competing against anywhere from Vancouver onward. And I remember in Toronto doing a bit of lobbying with our local black belts and masters from Stephenville. Even Aiden White was there, and Master Wayne Simon. And we hosted a kind of a Newfoundland reception. The government of Newfoundland did push it for Stephenville. Not knowing if we were going to win, but we did, and we held the nationals in Stephenville, Newfoundland. And it was quite the event. But I'm sure with a 50th anniversary, they're going to bring in people from all across the country and maybe from parts of the Orient where this discipline of sport has actually its origins. So very proud of that and looking forward to that event. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Item 6, a request for grant, Stephenville Historical Society. Be it resolved to give a grant in the amount of $12,000 to the Stephenville Historical Society, Inc. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Deputy Mayor Stephenville. Just like to say too, that's a great relationship where it's housed in the bottom of the Legion, and with that comes challengings for people with accessibility. Our goal down line is to find a new location or build a new museum that's worthy of. We have so much in this community, from our Indigenous to our Acadian to our American and beyond. But it's something that we'll endeavor, I guess, as this council or the next council comes on a year and a plus from now, to look at that as something that's really needed for Stephenville.
It is, yeah.
But it's great that it's down there because it actually helps the Legion too. They pay a lease to the Legion, so it helps to offset the cost of the Legion. And as you well know, legions across Canada struggle sometimes with membership. Often a lot of people believe that you have to be a military or a veteran to be a member of the Legion, and actually you don't. Anybody can be a member of the Legion to support those that have fallen, those who have served. I know Mr. Grenier, your father served here on the U.S. Air Force Base, and I worked with him many days at the airport. Some great times. So, you know, there's a lot of legacy that exists in Stephenville as a military town. So on that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Geez, I was ready to say carried before I called all in favor there.
I was watching that.
I'm just anxious to say just carried now, Mike.
Item number 7, a request for grant, SCAPA, SCAPA. Be it resolved to give a grant in the amount of $1,262.24 to the Society for the Care and Protection of Animals. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councilor Laura Aylward. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Item 8, approve to issue request for proposal, land western side of Indian Head Range and Route 490. Be it resolved to approve to issue a request for proposal to sale or lease approximately 1,097 acres of land to include western side of Indian Head Range and 2 parcels of land south of Route 490 adjacent to the Port of Stephenville. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder. Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Powell. I'd just like to speak that with the economic activity that's happening in Stephenville, from purchase of the airport to World Energy, hoping for their green light from the Department of Environment towards the end of March or early April. April 9th is the deadline for that decision by the minister. We're hopeful that that decision will be a very positive and proactive decision of government. This is such a worthy project. It's a green project. It will, in my estimation, be the second largest economic boom in the history of Stephenville. I think it'll be bigger than the building of the Labrador linerboard mill, but maybe not as big as building the single largest U.S. Air Force base outside of continental USA. But, it just goes to show that we have business activity and business interests in Stephenville and the assets that are here, and we have plenty. So on that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Request for grant Bay St. George Kinsmen's Club. Be it resolved to give a grant in the amount of $1,380 to the Bay St. George Kinsmen's Club to offset 2024 bunker lease fees located on Igloo Road. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, second.
Second.
Second, Councillor Oriole. I'd just like to speak on this one and the previous one, Councillor White for SCAPA. Any of our community groups, part of the Municipalities Act and the legislation requirements, we have to do taxation for assessments on every organization, whether it's the SCAPA facility or whether it's a private community-based group. But what we get them to do is we end up doing a grant to them for the same amount as if we would tax them. So it was kind of in and out to help our community groups. So the last thing we want to be doing is taxing volunteer community groups. And this is a way that we can avoid it from a legislation and a Municipalities Act perspective. On that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Item 10 is a request for adoption water and sewer rate policy. Be it resolved to adopt water and sewer rate policy as presented. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, second Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. Just speak on that one just a touch too. We are continually refining, adopting, creating new policies, and that's part of the role of all councils. Sometimes policies get a little antiquated. Sometimes they are no longer serving, I guess, the need, and sometimes new policies need to exist. One true thing about change, it is there's always change that's happening within all organizations and policies, but we now have a clear written policy on our water and sewer. And in this fiscal budget of 2024, we did small incremental change in upwards in our water and sewer taxes. And it's been 20 years since we raised anything on water and sewer. And we have major upgrades. This year we're planning on doing a major upgrade for Main Street where we got to come up with 20% of the cost. That's a $5 million expenditure. We're drilling 2 new wells for future expansion of the town, artesian wells. I think that's coming in at 1.2 million. We got to pay 20% of that. So the town is like every other business. There's cost of labor that goes up, cost of goods and services that goes up. But it was a small incremental step. But just for clarification, we haven't had an increase by any council in 20 years. So just try to clearly communicate that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Item 11, request for adoption, tax recovery plan and tax collection policy. Be it resolved to adopt tax recovery plan and tax collection policy as presented. I so move.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, second by Councillor Laurie Elward. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Number 12 is a request for adoption, the harassment prevention policy. Be it resolved to adopt the Town of Stephenville Harassment Prevention Plan 2024 as per section 24-1 of the Newfoundland and Labrador OHS regulations for 2012 as amendment. This will replace previous harassment prevention plan 2021. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
That is all.
Okay, nothing late for finance? Wonderful.
You did very well,
That was a long agenda.
Councillor Waite.
I think the agendas are gonna get longer and longer as we roll into 2024.
Definitely.
That'll please some people.
Okay, we're gonna turn over our next category, 6.2, our Planning and Traffic Committee, to our trusted chair, longest-standing counselor in the town of Stephenville, Councillor Laura.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, everybody. Nice to see the candidates here today. And nice to see the interest of 12 people. A little bit less than when I ran in 1993. I had 19 people. Anyway, it's nice to see you here. The Planning and Traffic Committee met on February 19th, 2024, and the following items were recommended for council approval. First item is 6870 Main Street, Kean College. Be it resolved to approve a permit to change the operating name of existing business from Western College to Kean College on the property located at 6870 Main Street. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Laurie Aylward, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councillor Myra White. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Next item, 1 Washington Drive, St. Luke's Pharmacy. Be it resolved to approve a permit to utilize space in the building to accommodate a pharmacy, do interior renovations, and erect signage on the building located at 1 Washington Drive as per drawing submitted. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Laurie Aylward, seconder. Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
This is the former Dr. McCumsky clinic that Dr. Maxwell has taken over. And he will have a pharmacy there. Item C, 20 Oregon Drive, P&R Rentals. Be it resolved to approve outline planning permission to subdivide the property located at 20 Oregon Drive into 2 parcels of land to construct a 5-plex as per plot plan submitted. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Laurie Aylward, seconder. Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
107 Main Street, DTW Holdings. Be it resolved to approve the request to reduce the operating business space located at 107 Main Street as per floor plan submitted. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Laurie Aylward, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councillor Myra White. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
149-159 Main Street, JAP Holdings. Be it resolved to approve outline planning permission to relocate existing business, North Atlantic Petroleum, from 153-159 Main Street to building located at 149-151 Main Street, and also accommodate a fast food restaurant in the same building. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Laurie Aylward, seconder. Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
150 Minnesota Drive, New Medical Center. Be it resolved to rezone parcel of land located at 150 Minnesota Drive from Comprehensive Development Area Community Service to public use to accommodate now a new medical center. That's the medical center on Main Street, on
No.
West Street.
No, that's the one next to the hospital.
Okay, yeah.
When it's being built.
I so move.
Moved by Councillor Laurie Aylward, seconder.
Second.
Second by Councillor Myra White. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Oh, that's the big,
big,
that's the big medical clinic that the government is putting there.
Yes.
And the grounds have already been broken and everything for that. That is something I hope I'm around to see. And
You will.
You will.
It'll be next year, please God.
Well, they're hoping early estimates from the company that was awarded the contract. It is a $40 million contract for that facility to be managed and operated for 20 years. I think just the bill in the civil work is going to come in close to 20 million.
Yeah.
But the plan is to hopefully open the doors before Christmas. That's how.
And of course, as we know, it's going to, all the employees that are at that building that should have been condemned, I says, the Bay St. George Medical Clinic, all those, the doctors, nursing practitioners and nurse practitioners, LPNs, clerical staff, everybody, they're all going to be moved into one building, which is great.
And the other thing about new building for professionals, healthcare professionals, It does a bunch of things. It shows a commitment from government. This is the new collaborative type clinics that will have a wraparound of services in them for people before they start heading to your emergency hospital. That's where you see a family doctor, support services, and so forth. But what a new facility does with innovation and their heating and HVAC and everything, it actually helps a community like Stephenville to retain professionals, or even attract new physicians and doctors and specialists and nurses, because everybody wants to work in a modern, clean facility, you know, and they were in a World War II barracks for the longest time without adequate hygiene from what I could guess, because usually medical clinics, there's a place to wash your hands for clinicians and stuff like that. That didn't exist. They had to leave the room, go down the hall, but you had those flights of stairs were very challenging. You know, our average population in Stephenville is 50 years old. And that was designed for people 18 to 23, like your dad, Paul, when he was in the Air Force here. You know, so finally we got that, and that's going to be a beautiful addition to Minnesota Drive.
It is. It's really going to be good, and it's going to attract new doctors, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The last item today, unless there's anything late, nothing late, is there, Jennifer? Did we vote on this?
Yes, we did. You spoke afterwards.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
making sure.
None late, Jennifer? Okay, thanks. 153-159 Main Street, JAP Holdings, be it resolved to approve a permit to demolish existing North Atlantic Petroleum Building located at 153-159 Main Street to expand parking lot. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Elwood, seconder.
Second.
Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay, thank you very much for that, Councilor Aylward. Item number 7, no, well, bylaws and regulations we did. Just cross check something here, Jennifer. We did adopt a new policy, so we actually had something on our agenda for policies and bylaws. So I'll go now to item number 8, unfinished business. Any unfinished business? Any of the councilors?
Yeah, nothing.
No. Okay, I got a few things to speak on. Let me see, what kind of a order will I take this in? Okay. So first of all, maybe I'll start with our newest permanent hire here at the town of Stephenville. We want to welcome Candace Simon. Candace has joined the team at the town of Stephenville, the management team. She has been hired as the Deputy Chief Administration Officer, very prevalent in places like Nova Scotia, larger centers like St. John's. But with the activity of this town, the amount of action, the amount of permitting, I've often said we've been, I use the analogy, we had 30 to 40 employees, 35 to 40. And we have roughly 7,000 people. Cornbrook's got 3 times the population of Stephenville. They have 240 employees. So the ratios of, now they're a city and obviously a lot more responsibility, I'm sure, from transit, extra fire departments and so forth. But we're very thin on staffing, and it's evident from the few staff that we've had. We've just hired 5 new people. Most of them were vacant positions that had not been filled. But I'd like to welcome Candace to our team. Comes with a great academic background as well as experiential background. Done a lot of work with business development organization and with a lot of our Indigenous partners, Halapu First Nations, our recognized federal designate ban in the province. And it's going to be fast and furious, as you well know. You wouldn't have taken this on if you wouldn't have known that. But I believe once the green light is given on World Energy, this office and the various departments are going to be challenged to keep up with the activity. So if you could just maybe say a couple of words, Candace, what drew you into Stephenville? You're from here originally, but
Well, thank you for the warm welcome, Mayor Rose, and I'm happy to be a part of the team. This is week 1 on the job, so I'm just getting, my feet planted, and I'm very enthusiastic about the potential of Stephenville to grow, and I know that I'm coming into this position at a time when we're on the cusp of a by-election, and as well as all of this excitement around. So it's a positive experience this week. I've met with staff and welcoming staff and crew here, and lots of professional feet on the ground. And I think we have an incredible team here. So I'm looking forward to growing the team, growing the town, and just great things to come.
Okay, thank you very much. The other thing I'd like to mention is for public comments in support of world energy. I often use some intel I got from our great economic manager, Mr. Mike Ratter, who's from Scotland, the Orkney Islands. I'll say it again, just in case we have new people that have logged on. We have 43 attendees, but just the footprint of the geographical boundaries of the Port-au-Port Peninsula is roughly the same size and scale as the Orkney Islands. The Orkney, I think, got how many thousand people living there, Mike? 20,000 people. On the Port-au-Port Peninsula, we only have 3,000 people. But they have close to 800 wind turbines on the Orkney Islands, whereas we're only scheduled to have about 120 something on the Port-au-Port Peninsula. So we've often said Canada is behind when it comes to green and sustainable energy, but places like Scotland, it's been there for how many years, would you say, Mike? 40 years. And it shows where an island has embraced it, the people have embraced it. Some of these are in private farmers' fields. If it's on private land, I think there's a lease rate that goes to the farmers. I think your own family is involved, correct, Mike? So it just goes to show that this project is not over taxing, I guess, on the footprint when you look at where it's happening in other parts of the world. It's at 124 as opposed to 800 turbines with 3,000 people as opposed to 20,000 people. So, but March 20th is the final deadline for citizens who are supporting this project to submit their comments to support it. And I do have a comment card here for anybody who's interested. They're at the World Energy Office. And if anybody, it's all you have to do is fill out your mailing address, make a comment in support of it. You don't have to put any postage as paid. You just drop it in the mailbox. You don't need to put any stamp on it. But this project will significantly change the fabric of our town in so many positive ways. But the biggest thing I think it's going to do is it's going to help bring families together. And we have so many families that live apart. Wives and husbands are away from Baffinland to the Yukon to you name it. And it is challenging on young families. And I'm a little bit of a testimonial because my son-in-law works in Boise's Bay. Now he's still in Newfoundland and Labrador, but he's on rotation 2 and 2. And I help out my daughter with 2 grandkids quite a lot. And I know what it means for families to be apart. So I live it. I kind of wear it on my sleeve. And thank God I do have my daughter and my grandkids home. Because there are people that don't have any children home. They have no grandchildren home.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, it hurts them. So this is going to be great for the town. What else have I got here? Well, I just want to say I was at the Chamber of Commerce meeting the other day, and Mr. Billy Hines spoke. Billy comes from a great recreational background, and there's nobody that actually placed the title in 2 Hall of Fames. Jerry Boland, former Councillor Tracy Boland's dad. He's in 2 Hall of Fames in Newfoundland and Labrador. But we've had record keepers at world titles, Don Cormier, silver medalists.
Mm.
Katarina Roxon. Al Hancock that has, I think he's got 6 or 7 of the highest mountains climbed in the world. He's done Mount Everest twice. We have so many athletes, and their vision is to get each organization to gather and research the history, the achievements, the stories, and get them showcased in different areas, shadow boxes, memorabilia, and so forth. And there's something I'm sure that this town would support as part of our recreation and recognizing those that played a significant contribution to sport.
Yeah, well, Billy and his son Stephen were athletes of the
Yes.
year. You know, time went on over the years, and they're looking at doing a plaque or the names recognition and have it in the dome, which is a good idea. And they have a Facebook page done now. So I congratulate the two of them for doing that, because it's nice to see people in the community take on the initiative to do something like that.
Yeah.
And there's lots of space in our dome to put up a recognition wall, or
in the
you know,
wall, you know,
however
we have
way they
so
want
many-
to do it, you know. So I thought that was good on the part of the two of them. And Stephen, of course, one of the ones that's living in Fort Mac and would like to be coming home, you know. So I thought that was really good of them to
Yeah.
get that going, you know.
Could be another museum kind of
Yes, that too.
section as well, you know.
Yeah.
Because I did email them and talk about the the fact that the last number of times I was at the Stephenville Middle School, which wasn't necessarily in the past 10 years, but previous to that, a lot of the old plaques and trophies from the sports showcase are thrown up in the back, what used to be the old industrial arts room, if they're not thrown in garbage. And a lot of that stuff got lost. And Stephenville High, because that school remained as a high school, some of the stuff stayed, right? But the people who went to integrated, LSAD, probably Bishop O'Reilly and all those, there are trophies and display cases around, you know, not tons and tons of things, but certainly the kinds of things that kids could now say, that's my grandparent, that's name is on there, that, you know, I think would be worth our while to collect and preserve rather than watch it disappear, right? Yeah.
The other thing I want to mention, I'm just going to step up and go to this little map here. It might be a good idea after we adjourn the meeting for the candidates running to take a look at this. But this is something the town of Stephenville has been working on for a year now. And we just had the final presentation from Uplands, a planning company that we hired. And Mike Ratter in our economic office has done some phenomenal work working with Uplands. We've had some public engagement over time with this. But basically, this is looking at the expansion plans for Stephenville. And it's sort of scaled in three aspects, I guess, or 3 stages. We look at everything that's within the concentric circle of Stephenville, and we have about 90 kilometers of sewer lines. We have about 110 kilometers of water lines. So what you try to tend to do is you basically try to infill as much as you can. A lot of places, punching water and sewer is very costly. So anytime that you can infill or sometimes go up, like whether it's a 2-story or a 3-story condo unit or apartment complex, it actually, what it does is it protects urban sprawl, and it protects you from taking out green spaces and entering into forests or green areas that you got to take down for development. So it's from an environmental perspective is a great strategy. But if you look at for anybody's in the room, I think the camera is probably towards me because I am speaking. For those that are electronically, we have a couple of places within the concentric of Queen Street, Gallant Street, and Hampton Highway and West Street that some areas identified that should be infilled. But more importantly, I want to speak about one area which is around Oregon, Utah, around the town of Stephenville's offices. We have a significant amount of vacant land This is recommended as stage 1 for development, that we'll work with developers, do RFPs, identify the scale, the scope, and the aspects of what we would like to see there. And this is kind of really designed mostly for apartment complexes, so small condos. So for example, in the town of Stephenville, we have a, jump in, Mike, if I get something wrong here, but we have about 3,000 homes. Most of the homes have 1 or 2 people in them. But if we end up building nice, high quality condos and apartments, some of the people in them homes may consider selling their home, moving to these nice locations. And by doing that, you're opening up some real estate for families that are wanting to move in. So it's a bit of a strategy. I think this is for about 1,000 additional, 2,000. This will actually cover about 2,000 people to move into the town. The next phase would be going up the Land Street extension towards the subdivision at the end of Queen Street, that we would actually open up development here. I think that's an additional 5,000 people. And once this phase is completed, 5, 10, 15 years, but you got to have a plan. That this is kind of the big expansion. And this is the dome here. This is Igloo Road, and this is Route 460. So basically, this area here would be a combination from everything from micro apartments, tiny homes, commercial, subdivision, townhouses, a full mix. Because remember, us baby boomers are now the majority. The millennials have taken over and smaller footprint's important. But this is almost like, it's well, but this is almost going to be like a little suburb of Stephenville when you think about it. 8,000 people will live here. And that's where we're going. One of the things they mentioned, I thought, and we learn so much as a council, and that's why you bring in professionals sometimes, is that why infill this area? Well, there's a lot of amenities. So in around this area, you have the Acadian Hotel, you got the airport, you got the Arts and Culture Center, you got the Harmon Theater, you got the Irvington Region, you got recreation facilities, you've got Clancy's, you've got enough stuff that actually would help people live in that. They can go get a bite to eat, they can go to do some entertainment in the arts and so forth, do some recreation at the curling club. So this is something that our engineering office will start preparing over the next 2 months. And as the spring rolls out, we'll bring in developers, we'll give a presentation, and then what we'll do is start looking at these lands, getting them ready for sale, and doing RFPs on them to entice developers to spend some money in the town of Stephenville. But that's the plan. We're going to leave it there. We'll do some further consultations with the public and with our developers. And when they go out, it's up for anybody to submit. But a lot of this land is town of Stephenville property. So it actually will bring in revenue to the town. So for example, with what's happening in Stephenville, just before Christmas, we sold a paper shed for market value at $10 million. That's $10 million coming into the town of Stephenville. We only have a $10 million budget, so you can appreciate the significance of selling an asset of that scale. So if you get a chance after the meeting, you might want to take a quick look at that. Okay, any other new business?
I was pleased when I got the newsletter from Nigel Pike.
Yeah.
Talking about the bike lanes and all the work they've done and everything like that. So I sent him off an email congratulating him on his all the work he's put into it. But not only him, the volunteers that helps him out, and also the sponsors that sponsor him. And it's good to know that there's several of them, a good few of them around town that have been sponsoring the group, because there's a lot of hard work gone into that. But and Nigel is one of our firefighters, of
Yeah.
course. So that was it's really great, and of course we've supported him right from the get-go. So I was certainly pleased to get his newsletter, and I asked if he would continue to send it. So it's really good. But we need. I'm glad to see we have a communications person coming on, because we don't have a way of getting out the truth to the public. There's lots of rumors out there. Oh, town's doing that, town's doing this. But when Frank Gale was here, the Western Star, or even the Georgian for that matter, we could get things. They'd listen to the meeting, they'd take notes, and they would have it in the paper. Now we don't have that avenue. We don't have anything. All we got is a few people on Facebook that don't know the facts. And that's not really fair, because we really need, so I'm positive that the communications person is going to be a real asset to this town, and we can get something on the go, even a newsletter that can go out to the citizens once in a while. And I would really urge the citizens of the town, if they're hearing any rumors of certain things, just call one of us or call the town office, talk to the CAO when he gets here. We should be he should be here coming up on the 27th or
When does
28th.
our communications director start full time? March 4th, yeah.
And,
But she's working Fridays up until March 4th. So that's a critical position now for our
Yeah.
communications policy. And
I've been saying that for a long time.
yeah,
And communication is the key to everything. I mean, you got to communicate, and also the other thing is John Abbott has been on. Minister John Abbott's been on, and he's been talking about the divided highway and paving more and more all the time. So they've been doing some more of that on the other side. But I've been speaking at this table for several years now about a highway from Port aux Basques to St. John's, a proper highway. And I remember Councillor Tobin saying to me, now, Councillor Aylward, we can't even get Route 460 paved, but that's not the point. There is a way to do it, and it would make work for a lot of people, and we could even charge a toll if we had to after that. But the thing is there's not a lot of kilometers, because there's a lot of it already done. But why should the eastern part of the island and certain parts of the island get preference? I think it's time that we did away with this foolishness about the rails for roads and all that stuff that came on when Peckford was there. I think it's time that people spoke out to the government, and send John Abbott some emails and tell him that we really appreciate what you're doing on the other side and in Central and outside of Corner Brook. But we need from Port aux Basques to St. John's, and there's no two ways about it. So I want people to really promote that. I'd like to see that done after sitting here for all these years and complaining about it and all that stuff. And the healthcare situation, tomorrow morning at 10:30, we will be the Hospital Foundation board members, 4 of us. We will be meeting with the board, the new board of, I still call it Western Health, and meeting at Days Inn tomorrow morning at 10:30. So to see what they have to say. And the CAO, or whatever they call them now, Chief Administrative Officers, they change them around all the time and they give them raises. He's just resigned. So anyway, we don't know who that person's going to be, the new CAO of Eastern. That's what they do. They turn around and they went with one board. What did they do? They put the same people in place, and they changed the titles and give them all a raise. So that's what they do. But anyway, that's the way it is. Nothing we can do. We can't control it. But my last note, my mouth's going all the time anyway. Okay. I want to congratulate again the candidates that are running for the by-election. I think, I don't know if ex-Mayor Tom O'Brien remembers, we didn't have very many by-elections in the 31 years that I'm here. Maybe 2 or 3, maybe even two maybe. Yeah.
the last one was with when John Finn.
Yeah, and there was one with when the former Mayor Cease got elected, when Diana Hocko had to leave because of her illness.
Oh, okay.
There was one then, but I wasn't there then. But I want to say to the candidates, though, keep in mind when you're doing your walkabout and your talks and all that stuff, keep it positive and keep it clean. That's my 2 pieces of advice to you. Someone that's been involved with politics since 1985 when my son got elected. And it's not getting elected is hard. It's getting reelected is hard. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much for that. Okay,
And we have a good council here, by the way.
we do. Deputy Mayor Susan Powell.
I just want to note too, because I think it's positive and exciting. I think it was 2 weekends ago now, their pickleball, which is fast growing across North America, is growing in Stephenville in leaps and bounds as well. And the group that played Lunch Hour, who are kind of probably at a different level maybe of play, but that group got together and started an evening in cooperation between the Y and the support of the town as well. Started to learn to play rec league in the evenings, which has grown to 40 or 50 or 60 people. And there was a tournament, a fun tournament a couple of weekends ago for that group, and there were 16 teams, which is pretty significant, played all day and had a lot of fun. But if you think about it, that is, say, 40 new people who are not just playing pickleball, but who are becoming members of the Y. So the whole growth piece is
That was here.
good and exciting. Yeah, it was here,
Yeah.
and there will be more here. And so it was well attended. They've got a Facebook site, and the pictures are posted. And again, so it's lovely to see something new taken off here. And they're looking to, they've got some plans to hopefully get some outdoor courts started and so on. So that's an update on that anyway.
Okay.
That's good.
Before I call for adjournment, I just want to say too that, as a council, and for anybody who's going to get elected around the table, it is a little challenging now because of social media, and we all know that. And you gotta be able to step up to the plate and handle that. And actually, if you really look at it, it's not that hard to handle, because sometimes, there's a lot of armchair critics out there. But unless you're at the table and you understand the policies, the procedures, the rules of government, the legislation, the act, and so forth, what we do, we are a very open and transparent council. When we have meetings, our meetings are privileged until decisions are made that are brought to a public meeting. Those decisions at a public meeting are then adopted, passed, or defeated. And that's the process we run. It's a democratic process. That's why the council has 7 people sometimes, because you want either something to pass or something to not pass. That's why you have the 7 votes. We have certain procedures that we follow on financial items, basic financial accounts payable, expense check listing. That's just a majority of council, 4 out of 7. If it's a grant to the Historical Society, or if it's a grant accepted in lieu of taxes for a term, that would take 5 out of 7. In this case, we are the executive, we are the council. With 4 people, and under the Municipalities Act, you can go down to 2 people and be effective in a council under the act until your by-elections get you full complement. But technically, we would require 2/3, which would be 3 out of 4 votes on a financial item, such as we covered in our public document agenda today. So in the past, this council and councils all over this province has done grant in lieu of taxes. And we have councillors being called about what we're doing about grants in lieu of taxes. Well, guess what? It's none of their business. It's none of their business until we take it to a public meeting. It's council's business to make that decision. Nobody else's. That's how it works. And until people get to the table, then they get to engage, debate, discuss, question, vote. And that's just the democratic process we're in. So how grants tends to work, and I'll just use some round figures. If somebody was coming in and their taxes was $100,000 a year, and they were planning on doing significant capital investment in growth, and they come looking for a grant in lieu of taxes. If we accept, and I'm just using some numbers here, 50,000 instead of 100 for a 2-year period, there's nothing wrote off. The taxes for the full amount still stays on the books. It's only at the end of that 24-month period would then council determine, has they achieved their stated goals of economic activity? Did the hydrogen plant get built? Did a hangar get built at the airport? Did airlines arrive? That's only then will the reduction be accepted. Because if goals and objectives are that were stated are not accomplished, that then we could cancel the tax agreement, just like actually at the Port of Stephenville, we canceled the tax agreement last year because the stated objectives when we entered it were not met. So, and nothing gets wrote off. And the only time we ever write anything off, and we've done it many times, the Stephenville Airport Corporation, which was a community group, we'd write off their taxes on an annual basis because they're a community group. But before we would write off anything, like we wrote off taxes today on some small properties and businesses, a part of the procedural finance mechanisms of a council. But before we do anything, it comes to a finance meeting, it gets discussed, vetted, recommended or not recommended, and it comes to a public meeting. But when it comes to the public meeting, it is for the public. The dealings that we have with stakeholders are private until they go to a public meeting. So I just wanted to clarify that. We have a fiduciary legal responsibility of confidentiality, and we will not release it. Unfortunately, we've had leaks. Hopefully those leaks are over. So on that note, I would call for an adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Laura Aylward, second by Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. And it is 12:54, Jennifer.
Not too bad.